Sorrow awaited Abraham and Isaac when they returned from the land of Moriah. Sarah was dead. She knew that Yahweh had asked Abraham to sacrifice her only son. Like her husband, she accepted Yahweh's will without question. When Abraham sent back one of his servants to tell her that Isaac was alive, that a ram had been sacrificed in his place, Sarah's heart burst with joy, and she died. Abraham looked for a place to bury Sarah. He bought the cave of Machpelah from a man named Ephron the Hittite, paying him 100 silver shekels. Isaac and Abraham buried Sarah in the cave. They carved 2 tombs from the living rock. One became Sarah's final resting place. The second, close beside it, was for Abraham. Abraham was full of years. He knew it would not be long before he joined his beloved wife and friend. The time had come to choose a wife for Isaac. The kings of Canaan were eager to have him marry one of their daughters, but Abraham was wary. The daughters of Canaan all worshipped idols. Abraham did not want Isaac's children growing up to worship false gods, as had happened with Ishmael. He decided to seek Isaac's bride among his own family. Abraham's brother Nahor lived far away in the city of Haran. Abraham was too old to make the journey, so he summoned his faithful servant Eliezer. "Go to Haran," Abraham told him. "See if there is a suitable wife for Isaac among the daughters of my nephew Bethuel." Abraham gave Eliezer rich gifts of gold and jewels for the bride, but he cautioned him not to show them at first. Nor was he to reveal whom he was or who he had sent him. Abraham suspected that Bethuel's daughter would try their best to please Eliezer if they knew he had come to choose a bride for Isaac. But how would they treat a dusty stranger? That was the real test. Eliezer took 10 of Abraham's camels and loaded them with gifts. He selected 10 of Abraham's servants to accompany him. The journey to Haran usually took 16 days. Yahweh sent angels with fiery swords to guard Eliezer's caravan, and a pillar of fire to guide it across the desert. The fire lit up the darkness so that Eliezer was able to travel as easily by night as he did by day. Furthermore, Yahweh lengthened his camel's stride. When morning came, Eliezer was surprised to see the walls of Haran in the distance. He had completed the entire journey in 1 day and 1 night. Eliezer stopped beside a well just outside the city gates. He thought to himself, "I will rest here until the young women of the city come to draw water from the well. If one offers to draw water for me, my servants, and my camels, I will know that she is the one whom Yahweh has picked to be Isaac's bride." Eliezer watched and waited. One by one, young women of Haran came out. They chattered and gossiped as they filled their jars with water. No one paid any attention to Eliezer or his camels. Eliezer began to wonder if Abraham had made a mistake. He would not choose any of them to be a bride for Isaac. Just then, another young woman arrived at the well. She was so beautiful that Eliezer could not help noticing her. "She reminds me of Sarah," he thought. Sarah was still extremely beautiful, even when she was over 100 years old. That was because her beauty came from inside. "I will see if this girl behaves like Sarah. She may be the one," Eliezer said to himself. The young woman put down her jar and began drawing water from the well. A little boy limped by. "What is the matter with your foot?" she asked him. "I stepped on a thorn. It hurts." The boy began crying. "I will help you." The young woman sat the boy on her lap. She pulled the thorn from his foot. Then she washed the wound and tied it with her own kerchief. "I will carry you home," she said. "I don't want that wound to get dirty." The young woman lifted the boy onto her back and carried him into the city. When she returned, she saw a blind woman waiting by the well. "Can I help you?" "Yes," the blind woman answered. "Please be so kind as to show me the way into the city. I cannot find the gate. Last night I was forced to sleep in the fields." "Tell me where you live. I will take you there." She took the blind woman by the hand and led her home. The young woman came back again a while later. "Please forgive me. I did not mean to ignore you," she said to Eliezer. "I could see that you were thirsty, but the little boy and the blind woman needed my help right away. If you like, I will be happy to draw water for you now." "Thank you," Eliezer said. "You are a very kind person." "I only try to do what pleases God," she answered. "What God do you worship?" "I worship the God of my uncle Abraham." Eliezer pretended not to know who Abraham was. "What God is that? Where is his image? Where can I find his temple?" "He has no image. The whole world is his temple," the young woman answered. "My friends think my family is peculiar because we do not worship idols. I don't care what they think. They are foolish to bow down to statues of wood and stone. I worship the one true God who created heaven and earth." Suddenly she blushed. "How thoughtless of me! Here I am prattling on and on about myself, forgetting how thirsty you must be. Allow me to draw water for you and your servants. I will draw water for your camels, too." This was the sign I was waiting for, Eliezer thought to himself as he drank from the jar the young woman brought him. "Tell me your name." "I am Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, son of Nahor, the brother of Abraham. And I am Eliezer, Abraham's servant. May I lodge in your father's house tonight? I must discuss something important with him." Eliezer gave Rebekah a jeweled nose ring and 2 gold bracelets. Rebekah accepted them graciously. "My lord is too generous. Allow me to go ahead and to tell my father you have come. I will return to lead you to his house." Rebekah's father Bethuel, her mother Milcah, and her brother Laban were all astonished by the 10 camel loads of rich gifts that Eliezer brought. They eagerly agreed to a wedding between their daughter and Isaac. When Rebekah set out for her new home, she looked like a princess decked out in all her finery. Eliezer and his servants wore their finest clothes. A troop of angels flew overhead to guard against danger, while the pillar of fire guided the caravan across the desert. Early the next morning, Isaac awoke to the sound of camel bells. He looked out of his tent to see who was coming. He cried aloud when he saw Rebekah, for though his sight was dim, her beauty was such that it dazzled his eyes. Abraham and his followers celebrated the wedding of Rebekah and Isaac with great joy. Sarah's empty place in the family was filled once more. Isaac thanked Yahweh for sending such a gracious, kind woman to be his wife. Rebekah thanked Yahweh for giving her such a gentle and righteous husband. Abraham thanked Yahweh too. He knew his life was almost at an end, but he was not sad. Instead, he rejoiced, for he knew that Isaac and Rebekah would carry on his work for the next generation. Abraham died when he was 175 years old. His 2 sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah next to his beloved wife Sarah. The cave is still there. The city of Hebron has grown around it. Abraham and Sarah and their children and grandchildren rest there to this day.